Hey guys, this is the next of my series on the main chakras in the human system, if you like. And this one I want to make a little bit different from the others. So I've been going through them and I've been telling you, kind of giving you all the information about the chakras and the sort of the traditional thinking, the yogic tradition of it, giving you the Sanskrit terms, etc. You know, we've got the symbolism for the different chakras and things like that. So that's all really important and really key. But I just really feel that at this point now, so I've gone through the three sort of lower chakras, the root, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, and those three are very much concerned and dealing with our sort of our basic human system that is common to everyone on the planet. So you don't have to be like a spiritual person, you don't have to be on a spiritual path, you can just be pursuing your normal life. So you've got your basic needs that you have to meet down at the root level. You know, your survival needs: food, clothing, warmth, sex, you know, just staying alive basically. Then you've got your level where you've moved past, you're not worried about getting your needs met anymore. So you've got to the point where pleasure becomes an important thing. You want to enjoy your life, you want to have a good time, you want to feel good about yourself. You know, there's a reason why we're here on the planet, and if we can't enjoy it and we can't have fun, we can't enjoy things and we can't create things, then you know why, what's the point? We're not here just to survive and then die, are we? You know, we want to think that there's more to life than that. So those are the first two. And then the last time we talked about kind of will, decisions, that we're the ones that decide what we do, and we shouldn't be giving over our will and our desire over to other people to make all the decisions for us. You know, we have power, we have control, but these three chakras really are all about me. What does it mean to me, my life? You know, they're not so much excuse me, they're not so much dealing with sort of looking out to others, and they're certainly not really about looking out beyond this world, this civilization, this man-made kind of world that's around us. Yeah, okay, the roots, you know, it's the connection with nature is there, yes, admittedly, but you get the point. It's basically, it's more about me. It's more about, it's been a bit sort of self-centered, really. So this is the big change and the big shift. So I use an analogy of the Shakti energy running up the central channel, central meridian of the body, and how that Shakti energy that flows, I use the analogy of a river. So, you know, you're starting off in the wilderness, you're going through, the river's getting wide, the flow's strong, the current, and it's moving you sort of upwards, up this river, and the river's, you know, nice and wide, it's opening out, etc. So at the last point there, we got to the point of the sort of the will. This is the civilization place. This is the place where, you know, I seize power for myself. I'm in control of myself, my own kingdom, my own world, and everything else. Life's good, it's pleasurable, all my needs are met, and everything else. I've got to this point now where I'm taking control. I'm making my own decisions in my own life. So, but when we get to this point, this is where really the decision happens, and this is the point where we move from just being basic human beings who are kind of living for ourselves, our own wants and our own needs and our own desires, our own ambitions, our own ego. An ego really is just the character that we're playing. It's just the person that we've become. But we're born sort of ego free, really, as babies. It's something that develops in us. We develop this whole character of this person that we're going to be, we're going to become. I'm not saying it's necessarily a conscious thing. In a lot of ways, it's a subconscious thing. Unconsciously, we just develop this character that we're going to play, this person that we're going to be. That's what we project to the world, and that's what we believe about ourselves. But it is just a belief. It's just a story, really. We are more than this body. We're not this body. We're not even this mind. We are the pure awareness. We are spiritual beings. But up to this point in our journey up through the river of the Shakti energy, we haven't really realised that we're spiritual beings, shall we say. Now, I want you to kind of imagine you're in this kind of big expanse of water, maybe a great lake, something like that. And then there's a little backwater that leads off this, or flows from it, or flows into it, whichever way you're looking at it, because I'll come into it. It's almost like a two-way flow at this point. Now, you've been travelling on this kind of big motorboat, steamship, whatever. You've been steaming up this river. You've been going fast. The flow's being kind of unhindered. You've learning not to fight against the flow. You're learning to go with the flow now. So when we get to this point, there's this little backwater, this little river that comes off it. And the only way you can get up there is to get off this big ship that you're on and get into this little rowing boat, canoe, whatever, to navigate this water, because it's a very narrow one. Now, everything is telling you, all the signs are telling you, don't go up there. You don't want to go up this little river. No, you know, it's too much trouble. It's too much hard work to go up that little stream there. You want to stay in this nice big expanse of water. Don't go there. Everything that you need or could ever want or desire is right here. This is the limit of our ego. This is us, living for our own. You're not necessarily just living for your own pleasure. You know, you've got family, you've got people who are close to you, you've got people that you like, want to interact with, whatever. But this is the limitation of the normal human being, the normal human psyche, at the intellectual, at the physical, at the basic emotional level. To go beyond this, we're going to have to start to move into realms that are kind of beyond that. This is where we start to realise, and really you're only going to move on further up the river when you start to realise that there's more to life. And I'm sure if you're watching this video now, you've realised there is more to life than just, you know, the basic elements that we've been through. So the next chakra is the heart, known as the Anahata in Sanskrit. We've gone through the different elements. So you got the root is the element of earth. The sacral chakra is the element of water. The solar plexus chakra is the element of fire. And then this heart chakra, the element is the element of air. It's air. From the physical perspective of where this chakra is, it's in the centre of the chest, right in the centre there. So it's the general area where the heart is, but it's more than just the physical heart. So this is the area that governs the circulatory system, the heart, the bloodstream. It's all managed from there. You've got the lungs there. You've got the respiratory system as well. When you've got problems in this area from a physical perspective, you will have you could notice these problems, these blockages, this lack of flow at this area, in the sense that you could have respiratory problems, things like asthma, emphysema, lung problems, those kind of allergies and things like that affect the respiratory system. You can be problems with the heart itself, the physical heart, the circulatory system, all of these sort of things. The other thing, what's attached to this part of our body is our arms and our hands, and very much this is the part of the body that kind of connects to that. So where the heart kind of reaches out, if you like, physically we're reaching out with our arms and hands from this point. So they're almost like an extension of the heart, and one of the best ways to engage with another person from the heart level is to give someone a hug. Put your arms around them, give them a hug, physical touch, things like that. There is a transfer of that Shakti energy from one person to the next this way. So that's interesting, but that's what I really want you to do is get an overall idea of what the whole chakra system is, and the way it's seen in the yogic traditions and all the Eastern traditions is that you have the higher chakras from the crown coming through the third eye, the throat chakra. From the bottom, you've got the root chakra, the sacral chakra, the solar plexus chakra, and the meeting point. If you can imagine energy flowing upwards from the root, and also imagine energy flowing downwards from the crown, from the divine, from the universe, from source, from God, if you like, downwards. So you've got these two directions of energy, and the symbol for the heart chakra, the Anahata Chakra as it's known in Sanskrit, is you've got this sort of six-pointed star, but it's two triangles. So you've got this triangle, downwards facing triangle, and then on top of that you've got the upwards facing triangle like that, sort of superimposed on each other, which make this six-pointed star. And this represents the downward flow of energy, the upward flow of energy. If you go to a lift and you've got the up and the down buttons, you've got the up arrow and the down arrow. That's what. Just picture that. Just picture you've got these two energies, and where they meet is right at the heart. This is why this is such a powerful energy center. In fact, if you compare the energy that's produced at the heart compared to the energy that's produced sort of at the brain, the mind and whatever, it's about 5 times as powerful. It is really, really powerful. And in fact, the heart itself has an intelligence of its own. I mean, science now understands that every cell of the body has its own intelligence. Used to believe that the intelligence was all just in the brain, which we know now to be a fallacy. It's not actually the case. Every cell of the body has an intelligence, but there is a great emotional intelligence at the heart. And I remember when I was young, my parents would say to me, there was a phrase, and I'm sure many of you have heard it, don't be led by your heart all the time. You've got to think from the head. I can't remember the actual phrase, and I did think of it earlier on, but it's along the lines of, you know, don't let, that's it, don't let the heart rule the head. That's what was always used to be said when we were young. You know, don't let your heart rule your head. Well, unfortunately, that's the ego speaking, because the head serves us to a certain point. The brain, you know, we do need the brain. It's a wonderful tool. It's a wonderful computer. It's a wonderful way of working for us. But unfortunately, most of us we run by our brains, our heads, our thoughts. It's the thoughts that are constantly going on in our heads, giving us all sorts of unnecessary suggestions, all kinds of unnecessary comments, all kinds of information that we don't need to know. And when we get to the heart chakra, this is the center where we need to actually start listening to what our heart is telling us. Now, the difference is the head will shout orders, instructions, information. It will bombard us with this information all the time. It's not subtle. It's very blatant, in your face the whole time. The difference is, in order to listen to the heart, you've got to be quiet, you've got to be still. And there's no better way to listen to the heart and what the heart's really saying to you than to meditate. Meditation is a fantastic way to actually connect to our heart center. And it's our heart really that's working in for our best interests. And our heart is actually in tune with the universe, with nature, from that lower level of coming up from the root, and also from the divine coming down from above, from the universe, from our source, from God. The heart is the one that is able to get into that flow. And I've talked about flow before and the concept of the flow state. The only way to enter that flow state where we're actually flowing with nature, with the universe, and with the Shakti energy that is constantly moving through the body, or should be, if there's no blockages, if there's no restrictions. The best way to connect to that is through the heart. This is the point at which we start to make that connection. So, as I say, we're moving up from the lower area and we're starting to think about things that are bigger than us. And of course, this starts with our relationships with other people. Now, if you've had problems with relationships in the past, if you've had broken relationships, if you've had bereavement, if you've had your heart broken in one way or another, again, the whole symbolism of the broken heart, it's talking about this heart center, it's talking about this heart chakra, which has been understood for thousands of years in the yogic traditions alone. But in every part of the world, they understand that the heart is important. We in the West, in the kind of the modern scientific era, have kind of put the heart on one side and said, we've almost kind of chucked it away. We don't need that now. We can work all this out logically with our heads. Unfortunately, I found this very much being an overthinker. The head, the mind, the thoughts will give you a complete wipeout, basically, with all the information, with all the suggestions and ideas that it's giving you. You know, it's endless. And all you do is you go round and round in this circle. And it's why people say, you know, stop the world, I want to get off, you know, I want to get out of this. It's why we suffer so much with poor mental health these days, it's because our minds are absolutely running us, and the information that we're being bombarded with is more than we can cope with. So I want us to stop, and I want us to think. I want us to contemplate the fact that if we can get quiet, we can start to listen to part of us that's on the inside, part of us that talks quietly, calmly, peacefully, the part of us that's always in tune with the universe, the natural flow and progression of life, and the cosmos, the universe, and everything else. And that part of us is the heart. So, people, we've all had in our lives trauma. We've all had problems in relationships with other people. We will have relationships on different levels at different times in our lives, but the chances are that we've had scars, we've had bad experiences in our relationships with people, and these have left us with blockages, and we can feel those. We can feel them right there at the sort of chest level. I'm sure you've all felt that feeling, that tight feeling in the chest. And we used, one of the analogies we get is like our heart drops. It's almost like going down in a lift. You set that sudden, your heart sinks. You get that feeling sometimes. Falling in love, falling out of love, things like that. When we lose somebody that is close to us, they all leave scars, and they do damage us, and they do cause blockages. They will block up this system and stop the energy from flowing. So we need to get to a point where we want that energy to flow, and that's about allowing our hearts to open again when they're closed, when they're shut up, which is what happens when you get the blockage. The heart sort of closes down, and we just start to not allow ourselves to go with what our feelings anymore. We start to go with the head, and as I say, that will screw us up as well. But the first person that we need to get that relationship right with, the first person that we need to forgive is ourselves. Lack of forgiveness of self, even before we look at our relationships to others and whether we've got resentments, hatred, jealousy, vengeful feelings towards other people. We need to turn the spotlight on ourselves, and we need to think, what is it that I'm not forgiving myself for? What is it that I'm not loving myself for? Why do I feel bad about myself? What is it? What are these reasons? And I've noticed definitely through meditation that as you spend time in the quiet, while you're sitting there meditating, it's an excellent time. And meditation, particularly for the heart chakra, is so important, because we do need to listen. And when you start to listen, things will come up. And it's, as I said, this is the point where the river gets narrow. You're in a little rowing boat, you're going up a narrow stream. It's not easy. You've got to put some work in here, and it does start to become more difficult. It's been easier up to this point, but you have to decide at this point, do you want to go further? As you sit there meditating on your own in your quiet place, you'll start to have memories will come up, but it won't be so much like memories in the sense of like the story that we tell ourselves about our past, or the story about the person that we've become, because this person did this to me, this happened to me, this relationship broke down, I lost this person. It's not so much the story behind it, it's actually the raw emotions, the feelings, what is actually kind of tearing at our hearts, making us feel that way. All that's got to come out, because that's all the blockage. So these are real issues that we have to face up to, and we need to let them go. We are all a product of these experiences that we've been through. Life is one big schoolroom where we're learning things all the time. But when things start to cause a blockage at this level, that's when we really need to sit down with ourselves, be honest with ourselves, be open with ourselves, look into our heart, listen to what our heart is saying to us. When we do that, we move to a new place. We move to a new dimension of life. We transcend the basic 3 chakras that are below, and we start to move to a place of love, kindness, compassion towards other people. It starts with us forgiving ourselves. We start to realise, okay, I'm not perfect, but you know what? I need to love myself. I'm here for a reason. What's the point of hating myself? And we've all got people in our lives and around us who we love, who we say we love, who we want to love. I'm sure we don't want to love them any less. We want to love them more. And the way to love them more is, first we love and accept ourselves, warts and all, faults, whatever the history is. You accept yourself. Okay, this is me, this is who I am, this is where I've been, this is the path that I've been on. I accept this is me. When you start to accept, you can start to allow the love to grow in the heart, and you start to get that love back for yourself. And when I say love, it's not like a self-centered, though it's loving yourself, it's not like a self-indulgent kind of love. It's an accepting sort of love. And then when that happens, that starts to overflow. And as I said, the hands, the arms, we're reaching out then to the rest of humanity, to the rest of the universe, to all the other beings around us. And okay, it starts with those closest to us, of course, yeah. We want to love them, we want to show them that love and kindness and respect and compassion, kindness, gentleness, all of those great things, patience, etc. But it doesn't stop there. It then moves out to the other people, our neighbours, the people around us, the people that we work with, the people that we found that we didn't really like very much. I mean, we couldn't really get on with them very much. You know, the people that gave us problems, that gave us issues. This is when the heart starts to activate. We start to realise, you know what? I'm not perfect. So why am I expecting them to be perfect? I've beaten myself up for most of my life over not being good enough, whatever. And this can be a root problem for some of the lack of self-love and the self-loathing, the self-hatred that some of us have inside. Yes, it's very real. It's very crippling. It causes a blockage at the heart. But when we can release the love there, we can even start to accept the people that we don't like, that we don't get on with. And here's the difference. The difference between judgment and discernment. When we act from the heart and listen to the heart, what the heart doesn't judge other people. It doesn't judge at all, because there's no judgment in the heart whatsoever. What the heart does, it discerns. So, yeah, I'm not going to go this way because it's not going to be the best most, it's not going to be a good outcome. It's not going to be the most beneficial to me if I go this direction. It's better to go in that direction. The heart's making a discernment. And with people, we can make discernments with people in our life. We can say, okay, I can see, I can discern that it's probably not the best thing for me necessarily to spend time with this person, or to necessarily allow them to bring our energy levels down. But I'm not having to judge that person anymore. I'm not having to say they're a bad person, I'm a good person, they're a bad person. This person's a good person, this person's a bad person. We stop making those judgments. We start to just discern, okay, this person, I can see these kind of various issues that may be there. We can discern those. But we can also see that there's going to be some good in that person as well somewhere. But it's not our judgment call to make. What we do is we just discern the situation, we discern the person, and we can start to make decisions from the heart. We can start to even love the people that we don't like. It even leads into nature and stuff like that, because on a level of consciousness, on a level of the supreme, of oneness, we will eventually come to realise that we are one with everything. That I'm just the same as you, and I'm the same as this tree, I'm the same as the rabbits, the foxes, the bees, the butterflies, the flies, the spiders, the worms. There's not really any difference. We're all part of the same consciousness. We're all one. Yeah, ultimately we're all God. I'm God. You're God. This tree's God. Everything. We all come from the same source. But to really, I can tell you that, and I can accept that, but actually knowing and living in the reality of that is still a lot further off on this journey through the chakras than we need to go on. At this point now, we're at this turning point, this crossroads, and you and I have got to decide, are we going to take this boat and then we're going to go any further, or are we going to say, okay guys, I'm quite happy to stay at this level. I've got my needs met, I'm enjoying life, I've got control, I've got power over my life, my decisions, I decide what I do. Guys, I'm happy, I want to stick. It's your choice. It's your choice. But if you want to press on, if you want to ascend, if you want to be going to the point of enlightenment, if you want to awaken, if you want to know more about what's beyond, what's further, and if you want to ascend as a human being to the level that you really should be at, because we all should be evolving, then we need to make the decision at this point, yeah, I'm going to go on this path. I'm going to start to open my heart. As I say, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be painful from time to time. It's not always going to be comfortable. But what comes the other side when we release those blockages and when we allow the heart to open, man, the bliss, the joy, it's going to be absolutely overwhelming, mind-blowing. Yeah, it's going to blow your mind, but it's not going to blow your heart, because your heart has got so much power in there. It is an absolute powerhouse. It's the powerhouse of the chakra system. So I'm going to leave it at that point now. I could go on literally all day just talking about the heart chakra. There is so much in there to talk about. It's a fantastic place to be. So I hope this made some sense. I hope you understood what I was trying to say to you. and I've very much been trying to speak from my heart rather than just my head. So I've not sat down with diagrams and stuff like that this time. But if it made sense and you enjoyed it and it's spoken to you, you could help me by giving me a thumbs up so I'd know that I'm reaching you and it's making sense to you. If you find it helpful and you want to see more of the videos, please subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments at all about this, just pop them down in the comments box below. I promise that I will, however long it takes, I will get and answer those comments. If you've got any experiences that you want to share, anything at all, love to hear from you. But until next time, look after yourselves, open your heart, share the love. Namaskaram.